following is a presentation of TFNN. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Namaste and welcome to Mindful Living, everybody. It's Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien, and we're here to help you get healthy so you can feel good and live life to the fullest every single day.
No doubt.
Talk about living life to the fullest, man. It's gorgeous here today. 77 degrees. Beautiful blue skies.
We've had an amazing winter.
I know. It is unbelievable, right? I just want to be out there right now.
Totally. And most of the time, folks, what ends up happening is that, I mean, you know, it's really hot in March.
Yeah.
And this year, you know, it's like 75, 78. Come on down.
Seriously, you've got to come and visit us and do some yoga with us.
Yeah.
We'll go to the beach on our perfect sugary sand
yoga
beach.
in the sand is a good scene.
Seriously, gorgeous. And that's what we're talking about today.
I haven't done that since the Dominican.
Dominican Republic, baby. We'll
Right.
have to. Well, next year I'm thinking of taking a group to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, nice.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous there. But I thought
That's
we'd
right,
talk
you
about
went
that
there.
today.
Yeah.
I did in January. There are so many different styles of yoga out there, so I thought today we'd try to get a little bit of a yoga education.
Okay.
And talk about what they are and what the difference is. In the world of yoga, which has been booming over the last 2 decades,
Yes.
right? It's everywhere. I'd say it's more than mainstream, right? Everyone's
sure.
doing yoga
For sure.
and the dogs.
If they're not, they want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's thinking about it at
Right.
least. What's designed to be a unifying practice has been split, if you will, into a multitude of different styles, which appeal to different people for different reasons. There's styles like Ashtanga, Anusara, there's Yin Yoga, Restorative Yoga, Bikram, Hot Yoga, Kripalu, Kundalini Hatha, the list goes on and on. Are you confused yet?
Yes. Thank God I only know a few of them.
Exactly. But how are they different? That's the question. How are they different, and how does one figure out which style is best, or more appropriately, safest for their body? And another question I get a lot is, are they all valid? Meaning, with the many different proliferations
who
of yoga.
validates them?
Exactly. Where are they coming from? What's the history? And
Okay.
how do you know you're even getting real yoga these days, you know?
Okay.
So we want you to get in on this conversation. Call us at 877-927-6648. Do you have a favorite style of yoga? And if so, we want to know why.
Right.
There's so many out there. In fact, I did a Google search today on styles of yoga. Found over 20 in just one search.
Did you?
So it's really interesting to think about, you know, why are there so many different styles, and what the heck does it mean?
Well, what does it mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. If you think about the fact that it's all yoga, it's all from India,
Yes.
it should be ultimately all teaching a similar message if you are referring back to the ancient texts, you know,
Right.
the sources of yoga,
Yes.
where it comes from in India. But when we talk about styles of yoga, we're mostly mentioning the physical practice. So what you're going to get when you step into a yoga room and onto a yoga mat, you know, how's it going to flow? What's the environment of the room going to be? What types of cues are you going to hear?
Right.
You know, for example, I was talking to a colleague of ours earlier, and she said, yeah, I mean, if you walk into a hot yoga room and you don't know what to expect, you're in for a rude awakening. Have you ever tried hot yoga?
I haven't, no. No.
So it's basically like doing yoga in a sauna, and you don't even have to move, and you just start sweating, pouring out sweat.
Are you sweating from the outside or the inside, though? Is it?
Well, it's from the inside. It's very cleansing. It's very cleansing. But for some people, you know, some people love it, and some people can handle that heat. For other people, you know, maybe you have low blood sugar, or maybe you're really sensitive to heat. That would definitely not be a good scene for you. You might experience blackouts, a little tunnel vision here or there. It could be kind of scary stuff.
Now, have you seen the? Well, this is a loaded question, but have you seen changes in even the last 10 years?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. In fact, naked yoga is really big here in St. Petersburg right now. Have you heard of that?
I've read about it, yeah.
So,
it's all guys, though, right?
It is right now, but it's open to anyone. They do
It's
have...
open to, so I can picture a couple of the girls are going to run down. You get all these crazy guys running around naked.
Well,
right?
they have a couple different classes. There's a gay naked yoga for gay men, which is awesome, and they have a beautiful space, beautiful class. I know the guy who teaches it. And,
okay.
But actually, there are classes up in New York where there is co-ed naked, and there's all kinds of options out there. So
what's the spiritual deal on that one?
Exactly. Exactly. So if you're thinking about the original, what's the original intent of yoga? I mean, ultimately, yoga is a method for reaching enlightenment, and which is basically means, you overcome suffering through gaining deep insight into the nature of existence, who we are at our core, how we're all interrelated, which you and I talk about all the time, and what that means from a divinity perspective. What's the greater whole. And because of the popularity of fitness, primarily in the West, the physical portion of yoga, which is actually a very important part, because when we have a healthy body, it helps to bring some clarity to our mind, which then helps us gain that insight to do the mental and the spiritual work. But that's actually become kind of at the forefront of the practice now. A lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis just on the physical practice of yoga.
So check this out. This is good. This is good, folks. Okay, because I'm gonna bring you back about when did you have an hour yoga?
Oh, my old yoga studio, 2004.
2004. Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna bring you back 10 years, right? So check this out. I was up Nature's Food Patch and I was looking for a yoga place, right? And I'd never done yoga. And I looked at this, and what ended up happening is that, Karen's husband, Charlie, he was in there working. And I looked, I said, what's this thing? He said, it's going to be a yoga place. Oh, good. I was all psyched, right? So I go, and, of course, it was great, right?
Right.
Now, but I'll give you my feedback. This is kind of cool as to 10 years ago versus now, right?
Okay.
And specifically, your teaching, right? So the place was great. This was purely a stronger there. Really, I mean, it was an hour and a half classes. You went at it, and I'm elated that that's how I started because that's all I knew. But I would say it was spiritual there, but that was still more physical there.
Right.
There was more physical. You were not. You were amazing. The physical practice, but there wasn't as much spirit. Okay, in the context, the spirit was good, but as to
it was new, a brand new studio.
That's right. As the actual learning about the whole physical body, mind, spirit.
Right.
Okay, and it's really cool because I love what happens, folks, is that when you do this, you just love it, and you don't even know why you love it. Okay, and it just keeps growing on you. There's no doubt.
Right.
But it's wild that you brought that up because when I just realized, I said, oh wow, I says, and in that, so now, well, that would totally make sense because. We all grow.
Yeah.
So you grew to this, being, right, which is really dynamite. And now I can see the differences, too. Do you know what I mean? Because they're doing, and which is really cool.
Deeper understanding.
And with all different teachers and everything. And that's really cool, too. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's really neat understanding that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you brought that up because that's kind of how the progression goes. We put a lot of emphasis on the physical practice, and that's okay. I mean, if that's what drives you to yoga, that's why you go. A lot of people say, I want to go because I want a tighter butt, or I want the dancer's body, the long, lean muscles, or I need to be a little more flexible, or I'm working with some tight hamstrings. I'm a runner or a triathlete, and whatever the reason is, that's fine. And if that's all you go for, then fine. If that's all you get, you've gotten some benefit.
Absolutely.
However, usually, more times than not, you get a lot more than just the physical. And so, if you look at that first experience, either at a new studio or as a new practitioner, that's where it starts. It starts at the physical layer, the physical understanding, because that's the most tangible layer of ourselves. You can feel your body, you can move your body, you can focus on moving your body.
Yes.
And that, my hamstring feels a little better, And then maybe after months, maybe after years, you go a little bit deeper. You become a little bit more introspective and say, hey, man, you know, something's changing about my energy. I'm feeling more balanced.
Yeah. The breathing does it.
The deep breath we're using is calming and soothing my nervous system, and I'm functioning at a higher level in my life and in my relationships. And then, you know, it just could continue to grow from there, but grow inward, because ultimately
and that's the name of the game. Oh, there's no doubt.
Totally. Then, you know, we talk about it all the time. It's mindful living. I mean, ultimately, the opportunity is to become very familiar with our mind, how our mind functions, how our mind's thinking, and to use this very powerful tool that we have to understand the deeper nature of reality.
Right.
So it's never ending.
Which is dynamite.
It is. It is an unending opportunity for personal growth in all aspects of your life. It's so exciting. But I think, you know, when you're looking at, so if most of us today are starting at that physical level, and you consider what are the options out there, number one, why are there so many different styles? You know, why is there Ashtanga? Why is there Anusara? Why is there Hatha yoga or Yin yoga or over the moon yoga, naked yoga, whatever? You know, people are doing whatever's drawing people in. And, you know, is it facilitating this idea of union, which is a sort of a spiritual bonding with what yoga means, union, right? The word means union.
Oh, cool.
Or is it causing what I like to call or consider sometimes yoga wars?
Okay.
Unfortunately, you know, fortunately, yoga is a mind-opening practice, and you should feel sort of this common bond with all of humanity, all of existence.
Oh, for sure.
Unfortunately, when you start breaking it down by styles, people get really passionate, and sometimes you see some dissension amongst the troops, right?
Yeah.
Like, my yoga's the best, or, oh, that other style of yoga, that's no good. It's kind of BS. You know, they don't know what they're doing. It's not real yoga.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'd like to just kind of break down some of those barriers and first look at what's the source of it all. You know, why are there so many styles? And then we'll break down some of those styles, some of the more popular styles that are out there today that people might be practicing or curious about practicing. And what are the benefits of those? And kind of bring it full circle.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That'll, you know, so your prejudice are stronger.
I try not to use that word, prejudice. I love Ashtanga.
That's a good word.
I think
there's nothing wrong with that.
You know, it's Ashtanga I love.
Yeah.
It works for me, but that doesn't mean it works for everybody.
Oh, no, I
or
understand.
everybody,
No.
if we're specific about that, every physical body. You know, there are more regimented styles of yoga. If you look at these tend to be the more purest forms that have a lot of history behind them. There are more sort of creative, fun styles that are creations of more modern style yoga. And I think it depends on your personality. And in fact, you know, if you look at the history of yoga and the source of it all, so before we even got to these 20 plus styles of physical practice, there were originally 5 main different types of yoga that one could practice to reach enlightenment. And these are directly from the ancient texts.
Right.
So we're going back thousands of years.
And what were those?
So the first one would be called Raja Yoga, which really is the highest of the high. This is the mental science of yoga, understanding the mind. So it's all kinds of techniques to work directly with the mind. Raja Yoga, science of the mind. The second would be what's called Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga means the yoga of knowledge. And this is also deep introspection, primarily through meditation. So that would be another type, another way somebody might practice with meditation. So you don't even have to do physical yoga to be practicing yoga. I think that's a really important thing to know, you know. There is also Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means the yoga of devotion, which if you go to India today, and it's been the case over the years, the Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are really the 2 primary ways people are practicing there. And that is meditation and then spiritual devotion. So Bhakti Yoga you could practice through chanting to your divine power, higher power, prayer, song, that type of thing. Going to church or going to your temple.
Right.
So there are all kinds of ways to practice. And We'll talk more about those when we get back, but I want to invite you guys to call in. Let us know what your favorite way to practice yoga is. 877-927-6648. We'll be back with more on the history of yoga and the different styles available to you today. Come back. More Mindful Living.
In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. What are you doing right now? Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living, everybody. We're talking about the different ways in which you can practice yoga without ever even stepping onto a yoga mat. And then, of course, we're going to get more into the different styles of the physical practice that are out there today. Just before the break, we were talking about the different types of yoga that were given to us by the ancient texts.
Yes.
So we mentioned Raja Yoga, science of the mind,
Right.
Jnana Yoga, which is the yoga of knowledge, primarily practiced through meditation, and then Bhakti Yoga, which is the yoga of devotion through spiritual devotion. Another beautiful way to practice yoga is through karma yoga, or the yoga of work. And if you think about some of the more, famous, not famous, but well-known, respected individuals who've lived on this planet, you think of Gandhi.
Yes.
I would say Gandhi was a big karma yogi,
Sure.
serving others to bring their freedom in a peaceful way, a nonviolent way. Mother Teresa,
Big time.
I would say she was a yogi, a karma yogi,
Yes.
serving others. And I guarantee she probably never did a triangle pose in her life, right?
Right. No, right.
So you can practice karma yoga and still be a very, very dedicated yogi. And then there's Kriya Yoga, which is the yoga of purification.
Okay.
And there are many different methods we can take in yoga to purify ourselves. You could take meditation, you could take breathing practice, you can take chanting, which is energetic clearing. Tantra yoga also falls under Kriya. And this happens to be where physical yoga falls, under that of the...
Under Kriya.
Under Kriya yoga.
Under Kriya.
So you can see, we call it physical yoga Hatha yoga.
Okay.
So you can see that the physical practice is already a subset of the major
That's
ways
interesting, isn't it?
one would practice yoga.
Just picture this. 2,000 years ago, someone might have been having a show thinking about, hey, there's 5 different yogas, and, you know, there's a lot of dissension here. What's going on? There was yoga wars then, right?
Exactly. What's the best way to practice, you know?
Yeah.
It is interesting because, you know, they say in the ancient texts, that particularly the Bhagavad Gita, which is a beautiful, one of the most important yogic texts out there, that there are these different types of yoga created for different personalities. You know, the busy man should practice karma yoga, the yoga of work. Devotional man practice bhakti yoga because they're more inclined towards the spiritual practice. The intellectual man should practice jnana yoga, or meditation, the yoga of knowledge, dealing with the mind. So it kind of, it makes sense that there are different styles for or types for different reasons, because we're all different people with different personalities, you know. So that's kind of giving us a little idea of how yoga has changed so much over the years and why it's changed so much over the years. But again, if you look at those original 5 types, the physical practice of yoga was just a small subset. And yet, if you look at yoga today, I'd say 99% of people who practice yoga, at least in the West, are practicing the physical practice.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes and to get to the point that you can just, and you know, a few folks that we've interviewed, they're basically saying the same thing. They listen, you can just meditate to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I love the aspect, I love Ashtanga yoga, I love the aspect of putting that together spiritually. And feeling that type of power.
Right.
Because it is a type of power. Well, I'm saying power in a very...
a non-personal way, maybe. Not
it's
that you
not,
own
just
it.
No, you just feel so great, okay? Because there's no doubt that you're thinking about the world, you're thinking about people. You have energy flowing through you.
Totally.
I mean, there's pure energy that's flowing through you. And you are thinking about right now. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not here. What are you doing?
Right.
And you know that you only can do so much.
Yeah.
And as long as you do everything you can do, well, that's great.
And what you're describing is a type of, as you say, freedom. Power.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's freedom.
Power from freedom.
It is freedom.
Yes.
It is absolutely free. And it's freedom because, I think it's freedom because, you know, you're in the flow.
Yeah.
You're in the flow, and it's like, you know, you don't know what anyone else has in their heart. You know what you have in your heart, and if you're going all the way out, well, that's it.
With that intention, that's what we're talking about. And in fact, freedom, kaivalya, or enlightenment, it means freedom, and that's the ultimate goal of yoga. This understanding, this realization, this sensation that we're all connected, we're all unified, we're all one, and you're in that
the connection's
flow.
a big deal. The connection's a big deal.
So that's what we're moving toward. And, you know, while so many people are practicing in a physical way, I think overall, of course, with the experience, people more and more practicing and the years of experience that we're accumulating, if people have an open mind and are interested in these deeper lessons, they're there for you.
Yes.
So you are seeing collectively the understanding of yogis deepening as a collective
Which is dynamite.
society. Yeah.
Which is huge.
It is. And, you know, for that reason, I have a lot of hope for the world. That's the other thing that this...
That's right.
You know, you said to me at the break, I can't imagine yoga without a spiritual aspect.
Right.
And, you know, my teacher, the guru of Ashtanga yoga, said the same thing. Yoga is a spiritual practice.
It is. No, it is.
And, you know, without it, what is yoga? For some people, it's, you know, it's a physical workout, and, you know, it's not a religion. It facilitates a deeper understanding of the bigger picture. And
of everyone. Yeah, that's right.
Everyone. Exactly. And that inspires or informs the way that you live your life. You know, when you understand we're all connected, you're more gentle with other people. You're gentle, loving, and kind with your environment. You are more willing to give to others and, you know, just be there even energetically for people. And that, for me, gives me a lot of hope for the world.
Right.
You know, a lot of inspiration to live my life rather than, I think if you're stuck at the physical level or, you know, stuck in sort of a selfish existence where you don't understand your connection to other people, meaning it's all about the self. You feel alone. It can facilitate feelings of depression, anxiety, a sense of hoarding, attachment to things.
That's a great point.
And, apathy toward life. So the promise is there. It's a beautiful practice.
And this is what's cool, folks. The energy's there. What Allie just said, this is really cool. You just hit something. So picture this. No, seriously. When loneliness, when you're alone in the world, right? It doesn't seem there is nothing that is good. Okay? When you're a oneness with people in the world, it doesn't matter what's out there, okay? We've all felt it, okay? And what ends up happening, I can tell you, what ends up happening, when you can feel it and you know that you're one with someone else, no matter what is happening in your life at that point, that gives you hope. As you said, it's there. It's real.
Yeah, you're going to make it through.
The thing that's amazing, you actually feel it physically.
You do.
And it's a good feeling.
It is.
This is a good feeling because you really get to understand how deep you can actually go, which is really cool.
I tell you, Tom gets it. This is why when you and I first met, you felt the spiritual connection.
Right.
That would be an energetic connection, and you feel that, folks, when you meet somebody, sometimes you have that feeling, oh wow, I feel like we've been lifelong friends, or I've known you before, or it's just very easy. That's that energetic feeling, that connection, where you just feel at ease, you feel at home, and ultimately, this is how it could be always, even if you are struggling or you're in pain, if you're feeling pain.
I know.
Because as Tom said, when you're connected to others, it's, you're going to get through it. You're going to pull through. You have that sort of collective, effort to heal.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So it's interesting. How in the world did we get from this, which is the original intention of yoga, to all these different styles of yoga? Hey, what style are you going to do today? Are you going to go to hot yoga? Are you going to go to Bikram yoga? Are you going to go to Anusara? Well, if you look at the physical practice, now again, we said the physical practice is important because when your body is healthy, it helps you achieve a certain state of mind, clarity of mind.
Sure.
When your body feels bad, that's all you think about. You can't think about anything else.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
So it's said that the physical practice was created to allow us to free the body of distress and disease,
okay,
so that we could sit comfortably to do the real work, and that's meditation or spiritual work.
You know what's interesting is that when you look back, folks, because what Ali's talking about is that the yoga started so long ago, and when you look back so long ago, we weren't sitting down in chairs and all this too. So this gets intriguing because think about this, if people were working much more just for their food, so they were probably working out anyway.
Yeah.
And that combination, isn't this, I mean, seriously, right? That combination of them working and then bringing in the spiritual through the meditation, through something else, they might have been working out more than we're working out now.
Oh,
not
sure
more
they
than
were.
me, not as much as you.
Well,
but you know what I'm saying, right? Isn't
Of course it is.
Isn't that pretty cool?
It is. It's definitely, that's, I think history. People were much more active just because life was harder. You had to find your own food and hunt your, like Nico says, and go out and get your own food.
I was thinking of Nico, same thing when I just said it.
But unfortunately, we've become a more sedentary life. Society, which is why the physical fitness aspect of things became more popular. We started feeling like we needed to get out and move and bend and stretch and tend to the waistline.
I'm changing gears for 1 second, but when you just said that, it's really cool. I remember I had a Super Bowl party, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years ago, and there was a guy that was there. The guy's, great guy. He's like 80 years old, right? And I'm watching people sitting down. I watch him the whole time. He's standing up the whole time. So I'm talking to him. I'm saying to myself, I said, talk to me about the standing up deal. And we did 5 or 6 hours, right? He says, I always stand up. He said, well, I'm going to sit down. When he had an office, he stood up. And that's why the guy's in such good shape.
Yeah.
It's like, folks, don't sit down.
No.
It makes no sense anyway.
It doesn't. In fact, I was the same way. I think it has a lot to do with your personality as well.
Yeah.
But when I was in the corporate world and when I worked for software companies, I had a higher desk.
Standing desk,
that I could stand. I mean, crazy me, I would actually do leg lifts as I typed on my computer.
That's hilarious.
I didn't want to sit still. But it's true. If you travel to Asian countries, there aren't a lot of chairs. They squat down to wait for the bus or kneel down. They have open hips. They have healthy knees. They have less incidence of low back pain in those countries. So, yeah, try not to sit down. Keep your body moving. We're going to come back. Give us a call, 877-927-6648. When we come back, we're talking about different styles of yoga, how you can know what the difference is, and which one to choose.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Who says you can't take it with you? TFNN says you can. With your mobile device and TFNN's live radio streams, TFNN has put it all in the palm of your hands. No special apps to download. No subscription fees for live radio or Tiger TV streams. We say you can.
Now let's go over to the dollar, because the dollar is going to be the generator. It is the generator of basically higher dollar, lower market. And what the dollar has done, and this whole uptrend, folks, has just gone sideways. The way it works, folks, is this.
We say you can. The Tiger Financial News Network. Smart investors and professional traders know you can. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back. Tom and I are talking about yoga and all the different ways we can practice yoga. We can be good people, serve others through karma yoga. You can be spiritually devoted. But when it comes down to the physical practice, boy, are there some options out there. It's like flavors of ice cream, you know?
And now, there are many right around here, too, where we are?
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. Okay. Everywhere you go, you know. And if you look at the history now, the physical yoga became really popular as society became less active, you know, as things were more automated, yes. And as the fitness trend was growing. So about the same time, the asana practice or physical practice in India was being experimented with in a much more active way. So you had this great teacher, Krishnamacharya was his name, back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. He taught different students many different types of poses and different sequences, which gave rise to really 3 or 4 main styles of asana practice.
I see.
So some of his, he was experimenting himself, you know, like what types of postures are going to be best for this audience.
Right.
He taught Pattabhi Jois, who is the guru of Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay.
A series of very active postures, and that's what we know as Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, because these kids were like 12, 16 years old, and they were active boys. He was trying to tame their energy.
Well, you know what's so funny is that, and you know, I'm just as prejudiced as Stronger, because that was the first one I think I did.
Yeah.
But I've done a few others, and they, you know, we were just talking about it at the break. I like the heating up of your inside, and then it comes outside.
Right.
There's no doubt.
That's a huge benefit. And Pattabhi Jois said the same thing, that the reason we move, so vinyasa means connecting breath with movement. So if you go to an Ashtanga class or a vinyasa flow class, you're going to be moving, breathing, and flowing a lot, and you're going to get hot and sweaty. And the benefit of that is you heat the blood, and you sweat out the toxins,
It actually
the
heats your blood,
impurities.
huh?
Yes,
That's
which
pretty cool.
is
Yeah.
many benefits from that. You get more flexible. You deliver nutrients to key parts of the body. You increase fluid through the joints.
Right.
So it's actually a very healing practice. Now, Ashtanga yoga, this very active style of yoga, gave rise to many different branches of vinyasa or styles of vinyasa.
Right.
So Ashtanga I consider is one of the original sort of purest forms of yoga.
Yes.
The main differentiator between Ashtanga and other vinyasa styles is in Ashtanga you stick to a set sequence of poses.
Right.
There are 6 sequences in Ashtanga, and you
Yes.
only progress when you can perform a certain posture, with some proficiency.
Right.
And the reason for that is because each posture is a preliminary to the next. It opens your body in a safe sequential way.
Right.
So you don't want to go skipping onto some of the latter poses that require much more strength and much more flexibility until you have developed the precursors to those poses. So to me, that makes a lot of sense.
No, it does. But what blows my mind in this whole thing? No, it does. I'm not kidding.
I only laugh because you're so cute.
No.
You say, it's so interesting. And it is, I'm with you.
Well, because what I can't understand is that by the time, when the sequence is almost done, then you got to stand on your head. And I can't stand on my head. And folks, you're so tired by the end. I can't figure out why they stand on your head at the end.
It's exhausting. Well, you've heated the blood, you've sweated out impurities, and interestingly, inversions can be quite calming.
Okay.
And you build up to those postures before you take rest at the end. So
it's intriguing though, and every single time I'm saying to myself, I can't believe the couple of the hottest ones at the end.
You're
that
so
other one
exhausted, and now you got to
go
do
like this, and you got to put your whole body up.
Yeah, at the same time, that builds tremendous stamina.
Oh no, listen, I understand.
Yeah, which, well, for our listeners who don't know, I mean, if you've seen second, third, or advanced series of Ashtanga, boy, you need some serious stamina.
Oh.
And that stuff's like crazy.
That's intense.
Right, intense. So, vinyasa now, you've heard of Hatha flow, vinyasa flow, power flow, prana flow,
right.
Vinyasa, advanced vinyasa, sexy vinyasa, whatever it is. Any other style of vinyasa, if it's not Ashtanga, mainly differs with the sequence of postures.
Right.
So you're not sticking to that same sequence of postures. You're mixing it up a little bit, getting creative, and having some fun. Now, it's still important that you seek out a knowledgeable teacher because you can sequence postures in a very dangerous way.
Okay.
You can, approach or attempt really difficult postures before your body's warm enough.
Yes.
Before the body's open enough. So I would say, still research the teacher you're going to try, find out what their lineage, their background is, their experiences.
That's important. No,
of course.
It's important.
Because yoga can be dangerous.
But you don't know that at the beginning either. You don't even have a clue.
Oftentimes you don't.
Which is hard.
Yeah, it is. And as we talked about on a previous show, it's with, teacher trainings. I teach teacher training. I've been teaching it for 10 years.
Right.
There are teacher trainings popping up at every yoga studio on every corner, and with the market, people are looking for new jobs and new professions. You're getting a ton of yoga teachers out there. So you want to find out where they studied, or do they know what they're doing? Because yoga can be dangerous, So that would be Ashtanga or Vinyasa style.
Okay.
Now another main style of yoga that's out there with derivatives of that style is called Iyengar yoga. Iyengar yoga, who happened to also be a student of Krishnamacharya, so the same guru as the teacher of Ashtanga. This is a style, it's named after a man called V.K.S. Iyengar. And he took different Hatha yoga poses, different postures from yoga, and put them in different sequences and really emphasized alignment. So, he uses props like chairs, the ropes, the belts.
Oh, I've seen that in the YouTube.
The blocks.
I know what you mean. Okay.
So whereas Ashtanga really focuses on the breath and the movement and the flow to drive the heat up in the body so you sweat out the toxins, Iyengar would be a bit slower and really focus on alignment. Be sure your heels are aligned in this posture. How are the shoulders down? We talk about that in Ashtanga, but Iyengar is much more specific. Not that it's easy. It's also very challenging.
The straightness is hard.
To get the body in a certain way.
Right.
So it happens to be named after a man, V.K.S. Iyengar, and Iyengar was a strict teacher, is a strict teacher, still living today. So there have been different derivatives of Iyengar yoga. that still focus on alignment, but are a little bit more fun-loving, open-hearted, silly, less strict.
Yes.
One of those derivatives would be Anusara yoga, which people may be familiar with. So that would be another major style. Now, another major style that was a derivative of this man, Krishnamacharya, was by his son, whose name is Desikachar. And we call this Vini yoga.
Vini yoga.
Vini yoga. Vini yoga.
Down the Italian neighborhood.
Exactly, Vini, right? It doesn't sound like Sanskrit at all. But Vini yoga is a highly individualized practice, and it's kind of like age-specific yoga, where the teacher creates a sequence of postures specific for that student's needs.
Interesting.
So it could be, Vini literally means differentiation. So it could be very different from student to student. And I would say from this style, you see things like restorative yoga. You know, when you have, let's say, now you and I talked about, we love the vigorous style. It's just our personality. We like to sweat. We like to move. We're active people. You know, let's say we come to yoga when we're 90 and we have a little bit less range of motion, maybe a little less energy. Maybe we need something that's going to restore our energy, something that's age appropriate. So you go to restorative yoga class. This could also be a helpful style of yoga for people who are healing a disease or injury. We offer restorative yoga where I teach White Orchid Yoga, and we actually have cancer patients who come, and it's like getting a massage. It's very, very relaxing. So restorative or gentle yoga, I would say derivatives of Vini yoga. This brings me to Bikram yoga. You're familiar with Bikram or hot yoga?
I'm not.
Oh, you've never tried it?
No.
This is so interesting because this is how I found yoga.
Oh, cool.
Bikram. This was when I lived in San Francisco.
Okay.
Now, this is a time when I was, I've always been kind of that type A, I would go run a marathon or run, triathlons or run 6 blocks of city streets and then go to a yoga class.
Oh, my God.
A girlfriend of mine said to me, you have to try this yoga class. It is so hard. It is, it's like doing yoga in a sauna. And we went and we were just in love because literally you're standing on your yoga mat and you are dripping, drenched with sweat. And so they heat the room. This was named after a man called Bikram Chodroy. He's still living. And he basically took 26 hatha yoga poses, so 26 postures, put them in a certain order, and added heat. So they heat the room to 105 on average.
Whoa, baby.
That's hot, right?
It's hot.
With humidity on average 40%.
Wow.
I mean, you can imagine. It's dripping hot in there. And talk about flexible. Bikram said himself that with heat, even steel will bend. So when you add heat to the body, you get super flexible. A lot of people love this style and have been healed by this style.
Because if you're flexible, your body's healing.
And you're sweating out the toxins.
Right.
Now, but let's just say, just because you're sweating out toxins doesn't mean you can put more in, As you practice yoga and you develop self-awareness, which should be part of the sort of growth and understanding, you become more aware of what you're eating, how you're sleeping, in addition to all the things that we talked about before, how you're treating other people, your attitude, are you being kind? Are we snapping? Are we practicing love not only for ourselves and taking care of ourselves, but that should extend
for everyone,
outward as well.
Absolutely.
So it's important that when you are looking at the different styles of yoga out there, you know what you're in for. There's also a very gentle style of yoga called yin, though it can also be quite challenging. And yin style, which means, if you look at yin yang, yin is a softer side.
That's Trey doing, right?
At our studio.
That's a longer pose, right?
You hold. You hold 2 to 5 minutes.
And that's tough. That's probably tough. I haven't done it yet. I was going to do it one Sunday with them, but
It can be a nice balance for a physical practice. And it's meant to open the restorative tissue, the connective tissue of the body, excuse me. So, what's best? What style of yoga is best ultimately comes down to what's best for you. What feels best for your body, You have to look at your situation and think about, are you healing an injury? Do you have limited mobility? Even still, if you choose a style, if you choose a knowledgeable teacher, that teacher should be able to help modify the practice to meet your challenges and meet your body. So, if you're looking into what style to go to, first and foremost, research the teacher. I think that that's really important.
And you can go to allieford.com to do that.
Exactly, definitely. You can email me. All my contact information is on my website. It's Allie@allieford.com. You can call me. My cell phone's on my website. For me, I'm an open book, and it is very important that I help people with the discovery and the journey of yoga. That's what I feel I'm called to do.
Yeah.
I get emails all the time. Hey, have you heard of this? Even what I think is so fun is when I get an email from an old friend from high school.
Yes.
Who you haven't seen for
that's
years.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, I understand you're a yoga teacher.
Wow.
Where would you start?
Can you imagine Allie said, "Hey, yoga teacher"?
They probably can't imagine. But I've gotten questions. What would you do for tight shoulders? What would you do for a sore neck or sore hips? I got a message through Facebook today. I've just been diagnosed with 2 bulging discs. What would you do for that?
Yes.
And there is a style of yoga out there with a knowledgeable teacher. I certainly have advice. I myself have experienced a herniated disc and 2 bulging discs all at the same time.
Okay.
So I have some good advice for those types of situations. But you can imagine, let's say you're experiencing that, and you go into a really powerful flow class with a serious back injury and excruciating pain, not knowing what to do. And the teacher doesn't know that you're experiencing that. And you call, the teacher says, hey, bend over and touch your toes.
Right.
And you try and do that with 2 bulging discs and a herniated disc. You might herniate the rest of them.
You'd be in trouble. Yeah, right.
Seriously.
Right.
It can be very dangerous.
Right.
So, I think it's important to research what it is you're getting into.
Oh, there's no doubt. And just so, for all you new folks that want to try yoga, most of the time, every class I've always been, the teacher always asks, do you have any injuries before you start?
And you should tell the teacher.
Yeah, and for sure.
Definitely. You definitely should tell the teacher what's going on with you. If you don't feel comfortable announcing your injuries in front of the rest of the people, go up and approach the teacher beforehand. Say, this is what's happening with me. What advice do you have for me? What should or should not do? Particularly if you're pregnant, it's a really important time to make modifications for your body. Now, I'd like to address another thing with avid yoga practitioners out there. As I say, I've been teaching yoga teacher training for 10 years. And one of my ethical codes of principles is never talk negatively about another style of yoga.
Right.
Or another teacher of yoga.
Right.
Because if we go back to the intention of yoga, and that is that, we're all in this for healing.
Right.
We're all coming to this practice for positive reasons, and hopefully those people who are teaching are doing it with pure intention. Yeah. And so who are we to say, oh, that style of yoga stinks, they don't know what they're doing, it's not valid. For every person who may not like a certain style, you could probably find 1,000 that style of yoga is helping today.
Yeah. Well, this is a great point you're bringing up, because in yoga, and then I'm just going to switch this to the market, right? What happens in the market, everyone trades differently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone invests differently. And it's almost there's a somewhat of a correlation there.
Yeah.
That what someone else does, well, that's what they do.
Right.
Now there's a peacefulness there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think I got that peacefulness from doing yoga. Mm-hmm. Seriously, do you know what I mean? Whatever they do, that's fine.
Right.
It's not my money; it's their money.
Right.
Okay. So, and then that aspect, because I have people say to me, "Well, what about this?" And listen, if that system works for you, great. It's awesome.
Totally.
And so that's all in the same vein. It's like, hey, good, great, God bless you. Go with it.
Aspect of that balanced mind and that clarity of mind certainly applies to how we manage our money. And we're going to do a show on that, mindfulness and money management, which Tom knows all about, obviously. Right. So you're going to help a lot of people, but even particularly myself. How to approach. Finances can cause so much stress for people in their life.
Yeah, they can.
And so using tools that yoga gives us can certainly help.
It helps tremendously.
Of course, manage that stress. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just get that nice flow going and.
Yeah. So I would say at the end of the day, yoga is designed to help us keep an open mind and to see the beauty in others, beauty in ourselves, the beauty in others and in the world.
Right.
And, avoid that judgment tendency to say, oh, I do this style of yoga and it's the best because X.
Could you imagine if you were like 16 or 17, you were thinking like this?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool? No, I'm telling you, folks, what Allie's talking about, it would really be cool. Because you know, we all get hints of it.
Yeah.
You know, you get hints of it as you're growing up.
Right.
But when you, and this is a never-ending, you know, learning lesson. There's no doubt about that.
Definitely.
But you do learn a lot more, and it seems, I can tell you, it seems to accelerate very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, the one good thing about age is that it does, the mind, don't think for a second, folks, that the mind goes dull. The mind accelerates.
I agree. You can keep it
It's
sharp.
kind of neat.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a cool deal in the aspect just in general.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think part of that ability to continue deepening your knowledge and expanding your knowledge is to keep the perspective of the beginner's mind. Know that
Right.
you have
big
the
time.
opportunity to continue to grow. The minute you think you know it all, you're dangerous.
You're done.
Done.
It's over.
And, you know, again, Batavi Joyce always said, he's such a humble man, the guru of Ashtanga who spread that practice, you know, to millions of people, always said, I'm not telling you I'm a guru. You're telling me I'm a guru. So who decides who the guru is? Well, it's the student. It's not the teacher.
Right.
The minute, I would say, beware of any yoga teacher or any person out there
In general.
who's telling you they know it all.
Yeah.
You know, you should definitely have a red flag up.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Don't go to that yoga class.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I'd buy anything off them.
Exactly.
No.
You mentioned teenagers. I just got confirmation today that we're going to have one of the best teen psychiatrists in this area coming on the show in a few weeks.
Oh,
And
cool.
the reason I'm excited about this is, you know, as a yoga teacher, as you said, you know, expanding these types of tools that yoga and meditation give us for peace and
Right.
wellness internally to teenagers would be so helpful, because I know a lot of my friends who have teens today are feeling particularly challenged.
They get pressure in school, they get pressure on Facebook, they get pressure in, I mean, all that stuff.
There's, you know, the
Huge.
world's a different place, you know,
Yeah.
for the teens today. They're great kids. They are spirited and have a lot of opportunity, a lot of drive. But the world's different. There's a lot of pressure on them. So Dr. Michael Smith's going to be coming on, and that's going to
Nice.
be exciting. Yeah. So hopefully we'll talk about, I know they offer mindfulness meditation
Okay.
at their practice. And nationwide, you're seeing more and more people take yoga and meditation into schools.
It
for
totally makes
children.
sense. Totally
Definitely
makes
does.
sense.
So I practice with my own kids.
Yep.
My partner at MindWise, our mindfulness business,
Yes.
where we're taking mindfulness into corporations, has two very young children, 3 and 5, and she is doing 2 minutes of meditation with her little ones every morning.
I love it.
We just posted a
That's
photo on Facebook.
pretty cool. Oh, really?
Adorable.
That has to be.
Adorable. Just 2 minutes. You can have your kids sit and, you know, just say, try and sit still until the timer goes off. Feel your breath. Or you could have them count silently to
Those
themselves.
children are really going to be able to meditate. They sit
They-
2 minutes and they're 3 and 5.
Talk about enlightened,
She's-
right?
Yeah, that's the new babysitter.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be back.
Totally.
Thank you so much for joining us on Mindful Living. We'll be back with more next week. So call us with your questions, 877-937-6648. And hit me up if you have questions on yoga at AllieFord.com.
Have a great one, folks.
Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
This is TFNN.